What's going on, guys? Welcome to today's video. I've got a bit of explaining to do. So you guys know for the last couple months I've pretty much been slowly rebuilding my RB20 and getting it ready to go into my S14 drift car. So I've been building this drift car for probably almost 2 years now, on off, and we're finally getting close. You guys know wanting to make a date in June for Matsuri, which is the first time that the Matsuri that's run up north is being run down here. That is still the goal for this car. However, ditching the idea of putting the 20 in it, and I'm going to be putting the 25 in out of my other S14. Not going to bother showing you guys me pulling it out because, well, it's already out. So yeah, I've decided to put the RB25 out of the other S14 into my track car, and the biggest reason for doing that is power, simply power. I am a big proponent of you do not need power when you're starting out, and although I'm still relatively new to drifting, I feel like the 25 is going to be a lot more beneficial for my driving, just because it's a lot easier to make more power out of it. So with this setup that it is now, it's easily going to make like 350 horsepower, which the 20 with the stuff that I have was probably barely going to make 300, and there is just a hell of a lot more room for me to obviously make more power in the future with this as well. So it's still booked in next week for a bunch of fab work to be done, and then the week after, instead of the day that it was supposed to get tuned, it's now actually going to get wired up to a standalone ECU as well. So that's something else that I'm going to be doing with this car now. For Matsuri, we're going to be running a small box in it, but after, I'd say probably Chrome, because I think Chrome's in July. After Chrome, I'm actually going to look at putting my big box in it. So remember, I picked this big box up not too long ago for a wicked deal. So I will end up putting that in. I just want to run the small box for now because I already have a single piece drive shaft for this car that suits a small box. So there's a couple of things I need to do before we can put the 25 into the S14 for good. First thing is I want to change the manifold on it. New manifold. So here's the new manifold that I'm going to be running on the 25 in my Silvia. So this is a hybrid manifold. It's a hell of a lot better than your typical sort of cheaper RB manifold. It's not Chinese. It's made, I'm pretty sure, by a company up north, or at least the company up north sells it. But one of the best things about this manifold over the Chinese manifolds is that the turbo is spaced a little bit further away from the motor, so you don't run into issues with it hitting the motor, which we probably would with this turbo on your typical Chinese manifold. Second thing is the gate port. So a lot of the Chinese manifolds have the gate port coming from underneath, which, especially on a motor that's going to be pushing more air like the 25 over a 20, they run into boost spike issues because the air is obviously going through here, going up into the turbo, and if you've got your gate coming from underneath, the air has to like change direction to go back out of it. As with this one obviously being on the side, you don't have that issue. Yep, so it's probably enough talking. I'm going to stop rambling. I'm going to start taking this old manifold off so we can get this new manifold on the motor. Got the old manifold off, turbo's off, and I'm having to go through and clean up all of these exhaust holes, I guess you'd call them. I'll patch it here too. Hello, Patchet. Hello. Yeah, because some of these are not looking too good, so I got my tap and just going through cleaning them up. You're giving me a hand. You're taking the clutch off. Patchet just pulled the clutch off, and I knew it was pretty good, but turns out it's pretty much brand new, and it turns out the flywheel has also recently been machined as well. So I was going to put this freshly skimmed flywheel on there, but since this one is pretty good, we're just going to leave it on. But what we are going to do, because RB is notorious for throwing flywheels, is we're just going to double check that these bolts are torqued to the right settings, and we have my model here.
Torqued to 140 Newton meters, just to be on the safer side of it. So you're going to hold the front, and yeah, I'm going to make it go.
So we've got the flywheel back on, clutch is on, all the bolts are all torqued to spec, which is good. I've gone through and cleaned up all of the exhaust stud holes, so they're all all nice and ready to take the studs. Got a bunch of brand new studs here, a couple of different colors, but yeah, they're all brand new, which is nice. So we'll chuck those in now, and then we can chuck this manifold on. So I've got all the studs in, they're all tight. I'm not gonna be using studs on these two holes here. I'm actually gonna be using these bolts because the nuts that I have for the studs are new, and they're 16s instead of the usual 14, so they're a little bit bigger. They hit on the manifold down here, so can't really tighten them up, which is a bit of a pain. These 4 bottom ones though, I have trimmed them back. So I put a nut on them, cut the end of it off, and back the nut back off just to make sure the threads are still nice. I'm ready to put the manifold on now. Got my gasket, I've just put a real thin skim of RTV around the exhaust ports. You know, it's not necessarily needed with the gasket, but can't hurt. So it's the next night now. I finished up last night, got the manifold on and just sat the turbo back on the manifold. So here I have my nice hybrid manifold on the motor. Turbo's just mocked up there for now because I am going to make a new turbo drain. Whoever did this had the right idea in mind with using this heat sleeve over it, but the fact that it's just rubber anyway is not good. We are going to replace this with a braided line, and I'll actually take this heat sleeve off and slip it over the braided line before we put that on. But yeah, just the fact that it's rubber and like real close to the turbo, if that was to melt and spat oil everywhere, we'd have a fire. Got my braided line here. I picked up some fittings a while ago. So we've got some nice fittings here, nice aeroflow ones, so these shouldn't leak. So this is just some leftover hose that I got in the kit for doing the head drain on my RB20 that's over in the corner there. First off, I'm actually just gonna make sure that this is even gonna be long enough. So that goes into the motor there, pretty much goes up. We got a little bit more room because the fittings will be on it too, so it actually looks like it's going to be the perfect length. So now what I'm going to do is, that isn't the best cut, so I'll take this tape off and put some more tape on it and just snip the end of that off, and then we'll have to do the same on this just so we've got nice ends to put the fittings onto. So yeah, that goes in there like that. Once that's all on the end, let's put this into the vise. And start screwing that in like that. And just like that, we've got a fitting on the end of our line. Fuck. If you guys can't tell, and patch it.
This was the best birthday present I ever got.
Alright, I'm in the middle of doing my oil drain. Realised that I can't do it because the fitting on that, which came off this turbo, which allows me to screw the AN line on, it doesn't line up because they're two different size. So you see the holes don't line up, which is a pain in the ass. What the fuck are you up to?
Try to put the turbo on! So you're into the cut through manifolds.
Last thing I have to do before we put the gearbox on this motor and put the motor and box in the car for good is I just got to swap these sumps over. Remember the sump that I got for my RB20 that I got Robbie to do some wings on? That's going to go on this, so we're going to take this one off. I've already drained the oil, it was black. And I love electric tools.
I bet your favourite one would be the battery reciprocal, eh?
You mean your favourite one?
My favourite one to use on you.
So my apologies if this video is going to be pretty jumpy. I've got a tight deadline to get this thing done, ready to go to Robbie for get a bunch of fab work done, so I've just been trying to focus on doing shit rather than filming it. So it's probably not going to be the best video for you guys, but I think you'll appreciate it when the thing's going, and yeah, you guys get to see driving content for it. But decided to ditch the water line, so I'm not going to run water lines on this turbo. It's only a Chinese turbo anyway, so we don't really care. Yeah, got to get the feed sorted because I've got to get a fitting for the bottom here.
Return.
Return.
Yeah.
I'm so tired and just
You know what's
not
really
even saying the right
The
stuff.
interesting thing about this build is we have more of a deadline than we have a will to live.
Cue that, you know,
Sometimes
that
people
meme.
ask if you're okay, you have to say you're okay, but you're not okay.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not.
I'm now putting my winged sump on that I got made. I went and cleaned all this up, and Maddie boy cleaned up all the residue and shit that was in here because it made a lot of dust and there was oil residue and it got stuck, and I'm not even explaining things well. Patch it, help me.
Myth.
All right, we're gonna get the sump on. That's what we're doing. We're gonna get the sump on the motor. We're gonna get the gearbox on the motor, and then the motor is going in the car and it's not coming back out.
So this is the really interesting part because you use the word we really fucking loosely. You're a psycho. You missed this. Joel lost his beer, Matt found it. Now we're dropping Joel off at Hill Morton.
Corona power, baby.
You know most YouTubers explain what they're doing.
I already explained what I'm doing. Oh wait, no I didn't. I'm putting the sump on and I'm RTVing it. That's what I'm doing.
No, you're 3-bonding it. That's actually 10 times better. Because 3-bond is actually how they're set from factory. Joel is now spreading his seed like the dirty little girl he is. Welcome to 2 minutes later.
That'll get in.
Give me a secondary position. Bending like that on a fresh tattoo is a bit fucking tender. Can we just take a moment to admire how beautiful Matt is?
Oh, ow. I just hit.
You're an absolute spectacle of a person, Matthew.
Hey guys.
Give me a dirty look. Show me your sexy face.
I think I just lost a few subscribers.
Or gained a few. Right, we've hit 11:15 at night.
I'm fucking over this shit.
The sump is on, the engine mount's back on, and we're now finally going to fit the gearbox and try put it in the car.
At least at this point, once this gearbox goes on that motor and the motor goes in the car, it doesn't have to come back out.
You're lucky my date cancelled on me tonight, eh? Just call me Bolty Daddy Sam.
You're gonna have to put your face in my ass.
I'll stand back for this. God, you've got a lot of practice at pumping it.
Hut, hut, hut. Oh,
You good?
here we go.
Hey Joel, you're going to have to rotate this clip 90 degrees because apparently it's filming fucking sideways.
Alright, so we got the gearbox on. I'm now just putting the starter motor on. Once that's done, it's the wings and then the motor can go in the car. If you can't tell by the tone of my voice, I'm defeated.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's 11:30 at night. We've been here for 5 hours.
I've done this every night for probably a week now.
Almost time for the main event. We just have one more warm-up fight to go.
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. You'll
Matt?
pay for the whole seat and only need the edge.
I'm guessing you use the term forever very loosely.
It's forever. Because when it comes out, it's going to be busted.
You're good. You're good. You're good. It's just a scratch.
Alright, Captain, we can buff out those scratches.
I'm probably gonna jack the box up.
G'day and welcome the fuck back. Go down a little bit on the motor. I'm trying!
Yeah, there's oil on the ground and patch it slipping.
Come
yeah.
up with the gearbox ever so slightly.
Come up. Nah, it needs to go down.
Nah, the front of the motor realistically wants to go down. But, like, we just need to get that tilt a little bit different because we have to go back a bit.
That's almost in, but this one is like way forward, so the motor kind of needs to go like that.
It's also the tilt on the motor. This side of the motor wants to go down, that side wants to go up because...
Wait, hang on, I know how to fix this, excuse me. It's the gearbox that's too far over. So I got the motor and gearbox in the car last night, so big shout out to Patcher and Matt for giving me a hand. This thing looks sick. I am so glad that I decided to rip the RB25 out of my other S14 and put it in this one. I'm feeling a lot better about this than the 20. The 20 is cool, the 20 is still going in something, but I think for future the 25 was definitely the way to go. And yeah, seeing the 25 with the front facing plenum and the big top mount, this thing looks dope. Mike is actually here because he's going to do some B-roll footage of it, which I am going to chuck in now, so enjoy that. So it's now the 4th day that this video is strung out, but I'm going to do my outro now. So didn't end up doing it last night after you guys just seen that B-roll, because by the time Mike finished doing the photos and getting the B-roll, I'd already been pretty busy all day, so I was tired, I just wanted to go home. But motor's in, gearbox is in, and yeah, here we have it. So I ended up being able to sort out my turbo drain. I ended up having to go and get another fitting for the bottom of the turbo, so that's all buttoned up now. It's got the heat sleeve on it. It's way away from the manifold, so we are good for that. Yeah, motor box is in. My loom is sort of just dangling there at the moment, but that's in. The car is booked in to get the wiring done week after next. So the guy that's wiring it up, he's going to wire up ECU. It's basically a Link. Apparently it's like the sister company to Link, so it's Link software. So essentially it's a Link. It's getting that ECU wired up, and then same day it's going to get tuned, or day after, not quite sure. But yeah, this car will be running in 2 weeks time with this RB25DET. So I can't remember if I mentioned it earlier in the video or not, but this does have a small box in it. I am going to be putting that big box in this car, but just for time's sake, I already have the drive shaft and everything for the small box, just to get it running for Matsuri. That's what we're going to run. But probably I might look at putting the big box in after Chrome, which is at the end of July. Got the fuel rail on. I've still got to rob the fuel pressure regulator out of the S14 back there. But yeah, this car has come a long way. That's the old intercooler for the 20 setup, which already had the piping done for that. So I'm actually not running this intercooler. I just put it in there just to see what it would look like with an intercooler. I've picked up brand new Phoenix radiator, and that box there is the new intercooler, bunch of piping and some fans. Thanks to Tobin, he's given me these headlight covers as well. So I'm gonna be able to, well, it's gonna look like it has headlights at least, but just get a look at that. That looks so cool. So there is still quite a few little things to do here and there. It's off to the fab shop next week. Robbie's going to be doing my intercooler piping, mounting the radiator, making some brackets for the headlights. But yeah, there's a few other small things I've got to do here and there between fab and the wiring. But this car is very, very close, guys. This car is very close to being on track, and I am so excited to drive this thing. So this video has probably been all over the show, but I hope you guys can understand that I am just trying to get things done. I want to drive this car, and I haven't done the best job at filming this process of getting the motor in this car, I know. But yeah, I think you guys will appreciate it when it's on track and you guys get to see this thing screaming. So that'll be it for this one, guys. Cheers for watching. You know the deal. Like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for some sick content of this thing. See you next time.